guest, two-time Super Bowl champ for the New England Patriots. He's a member of their ALL-DYNASTY team. You know him. We love him. Give it up for Rob NINKOVICH. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hello, how are you, Kay?
I'm good. Have you defrosted from yesterday?
Yesterday I was snowblowing in my front driveway, and anyone that knows running a snowblower in New England, you're just being constantly icicles blasting you in the face, and you come out looking like a snowman yourself. So it's awesome. I love it. I don't know why I don't live in Florida. I really don't. I question why I still live here, honestly. But what are you gonna do?
Well, do you ever think, you're enough removed from the game, that are you ever like, I played in this? I practiced in this? Do you ever have that moment where you're like, what?
Yes, that happens often. So yesterday I was at the game. It was an awesome game to watch. Not really, but I was at the game and I didn't wear a jacket because I wasn't outside. I was lucky enough to have somebody that blessed me with sweet tickets.
Nice.
And with the window open, I was freezing. And I was literally sitting there telling the people next to me, I don't know how I was actually on the field and taking the hits and doing all that. At my old age of 39, I don't want anything to do with contact in cold weather, that's for sure.
No, stay in that suite with the entire Ninko clan. It's curious, you're still in the area, but you were at that game, Bill, Matthew Slater. Yeah. The season ended. What were the feelings you were having? Did it feel like the end of an era?
Well, I honestly went to that game because I wanted to be there for potentially Bill's last game. And I know Slate, he's played a long time. You don't know how long guys are going to continue to play. It felt like a farewell to Slater. Everyone had the Slate hoodie on, and they've showed him on the Jumbotron a lot. The hug of the parents. Obviously, it looks like it was his last game of his career, so I wanted to be there. And it's also the Jets, so you want to be there for the Jets game. You hope that that's a good game. It wasn't a good game. The Patriots looked terrible. But Bill Belichick, is it the last we ever see Bill at Gillette Stadium? We'll probably find out today on Monday what they're going to do there. So, yeah, I was there, and I wanted to be there, obviously, for the potential of him not being the head coach in New England.
What do you think happens with Bill? Do you think it was Bill's last game?
So the thing that I look at around the league right now, there's a lot of bad coaches, and there's a lot of mediocre coaches that are hanging on by the skin of their teeth. So if you look at Bill Belichick and just his resume, put this together, Bill Belichick with a good roster, I think he wins no matter what. So if you let Bill Belichick go, and he potentially goes to, let's just hypothetically say, the Chargers. They got a quarterback. They have a ton of talent. They have a ton of receiving. They have a great running back. They have great receivers. So if you put Bill Belichick there, they are automatically a Super Bowl contending team, I think, because that's what they're missing. They're missing a coach that can put it all together. So for the Crafts, if you let Bill out the door and he goes out and does potentially what Tom Brady did and win another Super Bowl, it's not looking good for you. So for me, I would keep Bill as the head coach because he knows football. He's the greatest coach to ever do it. And I would try to go and get a younger GM, somebody that could take over personnel. And this year has to be a huge year offensively. Defensively, if you look at that defense, they're a solid defense. Jerod Mayo is a very good coach. We don't know if Jerod's going to be here. If I'm Jerod and I'm not the head coach, I'm going to look at other opportunities because he will be a head coach someday. But you look at the defense, they were solid. They lose their first-round pick, and who was a really good corner this year. I think he's going to be a long-term cornerback in this NFL. So, again, I think if they stayed healthy, you lose Judon, you lose some pass rush, and you go and you get another piece defensively, they're going to be good. So it's all on the offense. They have no offensive line. They don't have a tight end, really. Next year, they don't even have a tight end on roster, I don't think. And then you look at the receiving core, you need a number one. So, and then you need a quarterback. They need a lot of stuff, man.
And Bill Belichick deserves and needs to be accountable for some of those because he's really big in making those decisions. He needs.
Yeah.
I was saying last week, the more intriguing thing is not who's coaching in Foxborough, it's who's GMing there, who's fixing this mess, who's able to go in there. Like, the GM is the more important role in Foxborough. And I love that you mentioned Judon. That's huge that they didn't. Huge.
When you just to add on to that, when you lose a couple pieces throughout the year, which a lot of teams, they go through that issue. They lose a key player. But when you have a lock corner and you have your pass, like the main guy on your front that helps the rest of the group, that's really tough. And I've been a part of teams that has had that happen to them. So when you do have that, it's a problem. But to my saving grace, we had 12. So you could get through all issues when you had Tom Brady as your quarterback. So the Patriots, they're in desperate need of a quarterback and a ton of weapons offensively. So we'll see what happens today. I don't know if you literally fire Bill and you start from scratch. I'm going to say it's a 3 to 4 year rebuild, and you only get 3 years in this league anyway. So I just don't see starting over with a new head coach with all those missing pieces offensively any success in 2024. I think it'd be really tough for a new coach to have success.
You're saying it's likely that they maybe sit down and they say, let's give this another go. You think he's staying?
Yeah, I think he is staying. But again, there's also things from the outside world that are pressing on the ownership to say, all right, we need to move in a different direction. If you look at a lot of these teams that went with the young offensive mind, they've had success. McVay, Mike McDaniel, some of these teams that have went to that, let's go with the youth movement. Let's go with the young guy. That's the kind of quirky, not Bill style. Bill's the old school, Bill Parcells, that Sean Payton mentality.
If he leaves, okay, well, talk to me about Jerod Mayo.
I love Jerod.
I know.
I love Jerod.
I love Jerod Mayo. I've never met someone who doesn't love Jerod Mayo. He's there. He's seemingly in line. I don't know why am I hearing, why is he having to defend himself about some BS? What do you want to say about Jerod Mayo? Please say something about Jerod Mayo.
You also have to understand that the coaching world is a shallow business where you have other coaches that are potentially mad that you are in a position that you're in. So it only takes one guy to go out there and talk to a reporter on the side and say, well, there's, see, he's kind of walking around differently around here, just because they're mad themselves and they're haters. So, I think for me, as a teammate of Jerod and a friend of Jerod, I know the type of man that he is. I know the type of person, and I knew the type of player he was on the field. He was the smartest guy on the field. And, I think back to when I was playing with Jerod, I tried to do the green dot thing, calling the plays where they were giving me the calls. And I was in defensive end. Defensive ends are like golden retrievers, see ball, get ball. Like, hey, where's the ball?
Rob.
I was not an inside linebacker where I could make the calls and set the front and give the secondary everything they needed to know. That just wasn't something that I did. Jerod was a guy that was the coach on the field. So he'd be out there giving everybody the checks, giving everybody the calls. We're relaying those calls. Yeah, that's the easy part. But for him to go out there and recognize everything and just do it like this, because you have to do it quick, he was the best that I've ever been around. And then to move on from being, he was in the corporate world. He started working for Optum, which is a medical company, I do believe. And then he decided to get back into football because he missed it. So he gets back into football, has a ton of success, because what Jerod can do is enter a room and command a room. And a head coach, at the end of the day, a head coach or a coach, but more particularly a head coach, you have to be able to walk into a room and command the attention of everybody, the long snapper, the kicker, the corners, the receivers, the quarterback. They have to look at you. They have to listen and believe in what you're saying. And there's a lot of coaches where I mean, I can listen to him talk for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I know they can win a room over or they can't.
I hope he gets the opportunity. I didn't like seeing that. You know, I used to work up there, and I think it's also like, I don't love that the media is digging into it and
well,
are we all pretending we don't know Jerod Mayo and like what? I really didn't like it.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, I was doing the media thing for the last few years, and we all know what keeps things moving, and that's the clicks and what's the story about? Can I create a story here where people want to go and they want to talk about it? So the Mayo thing, I do believe that was probably a jealous somebody that put that out there.
That means you
because
know
I don't
exactly.
believe that to be true.
That means you know exactly who it was. And I like that. And I like that you're saying that. And so that's because I'd like to see him get an opportunity. I mean, I think there's other interesting names because if you're Robert Kraft, it's just not even a conversation with Bill of saying like you're no longer the coach here after so many years and so many 6 championships. But then it's who is better? Who's better? Is it Jim Harbaugh? I brought that up last week. That's like the sexy young sort of like. He's kind of a wild card too, though, if you think about Jim. So there's a lot to think about as far as. But it's interesting that it doesn't really. You were there yesterday. I thought you were going to come in and say it's over. It's over. And it's not what you're saying. And you and Jules and Gronk every week is like he's not leaving. You three are. It's very hard for you to picture a Foxborough without Bill, and I think that's fascinating.
Well, you also have to follow the money.
That's not going to be. That's not LA, Nink. That's not. Historically, that's not the Chargers organization.
But then also the Patriots organization. Are they a type of organization to guarantee a lot of money to somebody and let them walk out the door? I don't see Bill having $75 million guaranteed to him and just riding off into the sunset. If he signed a 4-year deal and they hypothetically say he's making $25 million, that's $100 million bucks.
Yeah.
I don't see them. If he signed a 2-year deal, that's $50 million. I don't see them letting him go without some type of compensation or relief to where if he's coaching somewhere else, they get a discount on what they have to pay to him. So that's another reason that if you are ownership and you have a contract, and Bill came out today, I listened to his interview today.
Okay.
He said, I'm under contract and I'm moving forward as if I'm the head coach and I'm under contract. So I'm just going about my business and trying to improve. I gave it my best shot yesterday. It wasn't enough. We have to look at ourselves. We have to look at all things in the offseason. So he's acting as if he's going to continue and just moving on as a normal offseason is about to approach. That's what I got out of it. And even they asked him about, would he be willing to relieve duties in some aspects to GM duty? And he said, I'll do what's best for the team.
That might be a win. That might be all Kraft's looking for. Just tell me that you don't want to be this overlord of all things, and that'll be a win. I want to take a quick look at the wild card picture because you are a Super Bowl champion more than once. So when you look at this, everybody, I feel like sleeping on the Chiefs. They probably love that the Dolphins hobbled or coming into town. Like, are the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl? Is it what everybody's saying? Is it Ravens, Niners? Like, what do you make of this? Taylor was just on. You faced the Bills so many years, in and out, twice a year. What do you make of who might make some noise here?
I think it's the Ravens and the 49ers.
Wow.
It's going to be what we saw in New Orleans when the lights went out, right? So you look at the wild cards. I'm not overly excited about some of these teams. Buffalo messed up a bunch last night, could have potentially lost that game. Miami's got a bunch of holes, a bunch of injuries on defense. Tons of injuries defensively for Buffalo and for Miami. So you look at Miami's pass rush. Who's going to be the pass rusher getting pressure on Mahomes?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
All right, there it is. No pressure on Mahomes. Okay, we love you, Nink. Appreciate you. Glad you're defrosted. I don't know how you played in those conditions, but you got the rings, baby, and that's all that matters.